not obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
Lie. No man is obsolete.
It's a cookbook.
Who are we?
When will they take the bandages off?
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man.
This lemon sucker here. He's the most suspicious of the bunch.
My name is Tommy Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you.
I believe you're going my way.
Live from Willoughby at the heart of the Twilight Zone. Here are your hosts, Alex and Tyler, the prestigiously perfect podcast in which we call the Twilight Gnome.
What is up, Gnomies? I'm Alex.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to the Twilight Gnome Podcast, episode 83. Which episode are we going to be discussing this week, Ty?
This week we got The Hitch-Hiker.
Season 1, episode 16, original air date January 22nd, 1960. This was written by Rod Serling, and it was a short story by Lucille Fletcher. This was directed by Alvin Ganzer, who did 4 Twilight Zones in total, and now we have completed half of his resume. You ready for it?
All right, let's hear it.
He did, obviously, this, The Hitchhiker. He did What You Need, Nightmare as a Child, and The Mighty Casey, all season 1.
Yeah, really love What You Need, and this episode's obviously a great one, too. So.
Mighty Casey has its moments. It's funny
It's funny.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Nightmare as a Child, probably the worst, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say out of all 4 of those, that's the weakest link.
All right, we'll jump right into it, Ty. What was your favorite moment?
So my favorite moment was at the end when she does the phone call to her mother and you get the big reveal. Other than that, though, I would say there was a couple of really cool handheld shots from like the back seat of the car and like a couple other like interior shots of the car that just looked really cool that I liked. What about you?
I got 2. I got the first jump scare when he's like right in front of the camera.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of cheesy and it's weird, but I like it.
Yeah.
And my second favorite is the sailor guy when he has to take his shoes off. I got some hot bricks. And then she's like, yeah, thanks.
What a, like, weird request. Like, you're a guest in someone's car, and you're like, a first request is, I'm going to take my shoes off. Like, nobody wants it. You don't even want that, like, on an airplane, like, let alone sitting right next to someone in a car.
I know. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead, but it's just so awkward, that, too. I was thinking, like, here comes the foot fetish guy. But doesn't he look like Potsy from Grease?
Yeah, I kind of see that. Yeah.
We have the technology to rebuild him.
Doctor, what have you created?
I am, for all intent and purposes, AI Serling.
So every week I put a prompt into ChatGPT, come up with a Rod Serling style intro for the episode we are watching, and lately I've been trying to come up with a couple more meta and funny ones. Let's see if today is a hit or miss. Submitted for your approval, Nan Adams, an attractive independent woman traveling alone across the country, which in 1960 was code for she's doomed. Her only crime, daring to drive from New York to California without a husband, a chaperone, or a sponsor from Chevrolet. Along her journey, she'll encounter one persistent hitchhiker, a man who never seems to need gas, food, or sleep. Just stands there, smiling, as if he knows something she doesn't, which, between you and me, he absolutely does. In approximately 22 minutes, Nan will come to the realization that she's been, well, let's just say, a ghost of her former self. And me, I'll step back into the shadows, light another cigarette, and pretend I don't see the twist coming a mile away, because that's my job here in the Twilight Zone.
I like the beginning, the weird ending, though, with getting a lot more about Rod than the actual episode.
All right, so every week, Tyler and I come up with a few questions for each other, keep each other on our toes while watching said episode. I have 4 this week.
I have 5/6.
You did say that there was a lot of trivia for this one.
There is a lot of trivia. That's not what I had said earlier.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't even on air, so I have no one to prove it. But
well, I know I'm right.
All right. I'll go first then?
Yep.
All right. Nan's license plate number.
I knew that we were going to do it because I also had it. 2D-7876.
Good job.
Yeah. Memory like a trap.
Yeah.
Where does Nan get into her accident?
Pennsylvania.
What highway?
Highway 86.
Highway 11
Damn
in
it.
Pennsylvania.
All right. What was the gas prices? There was two. It didn't say if one was for like Supreme or regular, but there was two prices of gas. What were they?
I have no clue. I was looking at different things. Let's see.
If you name one of the two, I'll be happy.
26 cents.
27 cents.
Oh, wow. That was a complete shot in the dark, too. I was like, well, if it's around $3 nowadays. All right. What oil brand do they sell at the gas station?
Castor.
Chickering oil.
Chickering. All right. How much did her whole new tire and all that cost?
$21.30.
$29.70.
Oh. How much are hotcakes at the diner she stops at?
30 cents.
60 cents.
Oh, impressive. All right. At the diner, how much for spaghetti and meatballs?
45 cents?
85 cents.
Oh, damn. Who owns the service station Nan runs to in the middle of the night?
El Toro?
No, like the man's name.
Wait, that was the phone booth thing, too. The gas station guy?
Yeah, the guy that wakes up and then doesn't help
It says his name?
There's a sign that says his name on it.
Abner's.
John Thompson.
Oh. Doesn't mean that he is John Thompson.
I mean,
like
it's the owner of the gas station.
Maybe
shop.
he bought it off someone else, and it's always been called that. That was like the time I went to Old Orchard Beach, and I asked the guy at Hank's Frank's. I was like, "You Hank?" And he's like, "Are you Adidas?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "You little shit."
Got him.
All right, that's all mine. That all yours?
I have an extra one written down here. I didn't really write a question to. I just wrote the answer because I assumed that you were going to ask it, so I wanted to have my answer ready. What phone number does Nan call to get to her mother?
Klondike 587. I don't know.
No, it wasn't even a Klondike. It's Trafalgar 41908.
Oh, so close. We'll jump right into the plot of this one. We open on a woman getting her flat tire changed, and it's season 1, so obviously we're thrust right into a Rod intro, giggity.
Her name is Nan Adams. She's 27 years old. Her occupation, buyer at a New York department store. At present on vacation, driving cross-country to Los Angeles, California from Manhattan.
I should mention that was Rod intro part 1, because we kind of have a little interjection here.
It's season 1 kind of does this quite a few times, so it's kind of split up a little bit. But also, whose idea of vacation is just driving? Like, she doesn't even seem to enjoy driving, but she's going to Los Angeles by car. I don't know. Why not fly?
All right, so the mechanic says, "Geez, lady, you're lucky to be alive. You shouldn't have called for a mechanic. You should have called for a hearse."
A little first foreshadowing for us.
Right? He's like, follow me into town. I'll hook you up with a new tire. And
one of the things he says, too, is the shoulders like pudding. I've never heard that expression before. Is that just he was explaining that the shoulder of the road is like soft or like
it will like suck you in. Usually, I would imagine that the shoulder's very high, so it kind of
But it looks like they're in like a desert already, which is weird.
Minor incident on Highway 11 in Pennsylvania. Perhaps to be filed away under accidents you walk away from. But from this moment on, Nan Adams' companion on a trip to California will be terror. Her route, fear. Her destination, quite unknown.
I kind of want to get into this right now. I thought this was going to be a lot higher on my list, and I mean, it's still a great episode. I'm not going to give it like a 5 or a 6 or anything like that. Spoiler alert. But I was like, this is probably going to be like a 9, 9.5. And I just don't know. It doesn't hit that mark for me, even though I know it's a super iconic episode. But what I wanted to say was that the guy that plays the Hitch-Hiker is really cool and iconic looking, even for just being a guy.
Well, I'd say not just him, but I'd say Nan in this is also extremely iconic too. I mean, this is her only second role. There's one other one where she plays in the Twilight Zone. Oh yeah, because it's
not even
one
close.
Yeah, not even close. But yeah, I'd say the two of them are very iconic Twilight Zone characters. The whole episode just feels very iconic and spooky, and definitely has that Twilight Zone vibe to it.
Right. We'll get into a little bit reason why it doesn't hit that mark for me, but I just wanted to bring up how just cool the vibe of this episode is.
Yeah.
The mechanic tells her that it's $29.70. Nan says, cheaper than a funeral, I guess, huh? Another little
nod of like, and she should have died, hint, hint.
And then she sees the hitchhiker in the reflection of her mirror, which she has like a mirror inside of her suitcase.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
No? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
It's not unusual.
She's startled and she asks the mechanic, he's just like, oh, did you see that guy? He's like, no.
Which this is the first instance of people not being able to see the hitchhiker other than Nan. So
she's like, it's the same guy I saw earlier. And he's like, all right, hitchhiker must have picked him up. And then she gets in her car, and we get that cool jump scare I was talking about.
yeah, very close up of him as the camera kind of pans away and he kind of like slides into frame.
Kind of get a little bit of a montage, or at least it's hinted at that some time has passed, and she actually sees this hitchhiker again.
Yeah, she says it's so. This is very unusual too for a Twilight Zone episode. We get a lot of voiceover from someone that's not Rod. Which is this the only time that this happens? No,
I believe it's happened a couple other times,
but still, like very rare occurrence. And then it makes sense because this is a lot of just one person being in a car alone, so there wouldn't really be a lot of opportunities for dialogue. So it does work here. It's just
it is, but it's. I know this was originally written by another woman, but Rod Serling, it just seems like too much, you know?
I think it would have been boring if there wasn't.
No, but I think they could have dialed it back.
Yeah.
There was a lot of narration from her in this, which, I mean, I get she's by herself on a road trip, but I feel like that is the biggest hindrance to this episode, for me personally.
Is the internal dialogue that we get.
Yeah.
But it does help kind of set the plot kind of in motion because we get a lot of the so she says in her mind, I saw him 50 miles further on again and then again in Virginia. So we get that she's seeing him multiple times. We get about where she is on her travels, knowing that she's going from New York to Los Angeles. So,
and eventually she arrives at a diner and she's asking the owner, she's like, you get hitchhikers out here? Couldn't be any rarer. Guy would be a fucking idiot if he came out here, pretty much.
Which at this point, like, where is she that it's this hard to get hitchhikers? I feel like
you're on a highway.
Back in the day, they'd feel like everyone would be hitchhiking.
Right. Well, I mean, nowadays it's illegal to hitchhike on a highway, but I would imagine in 1960 you could probably still. Or what do you think? I wonder when that went into effect.
So I think when they say highway, they think like major routes. I don't think they mean like an interstate highway, not anything like 95 or something like that, where like you can't. I think it's more just like roads like Route 66, like big roads. Because I think this 1960s was just about the time they actually started building big highway systems. So I think most of the roads that she's traveling on are probably major routes through states, but not like highway how we would think of a highway.
True. The diner starts to see that she's kind of visually upset here. And he's like, and what's the matter, lady? And she's just like, it's just, I hate that fucking car.
And again, goes back to my point. Why did you choose to go on this is her vacation. She chose to drive all the way from New York to Los Angeles.
She wanted the experience, Ty.
It's getting so that I hate that car.
Next shot, we come up to a construction site.
And then she stops because obviously you can't drive through a construction
site. But it's weird, like,
site.
she turns her engine off and everything, like, it could have been just like 2 seconds, lady. What are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, the guy didn't really say how long it was going to be. It might be smart to not waste gas. But then at this point, the hitchhiker, we get his first bit of dialogue because at this point he's just stared and like kind of stood menacingly, I suppose. But we actually finally get some words from him.
Heading west?
No, I'm not heading west. I'm sorry. I'm not heading west. I'm just going up the road a little ways.
And then she does what anyone would do when a hitchhiker
drive to an active construction site.
I gotta just really get going.
Instead of yelling for the flag, it'd be like, hey, can you help me, this creepy guy? And
right?
That would have been easier to... What the hell are you talking about, lady?
The guy hasn't done anything. All he did was ask for a ride. I get it that at this point, it's supposed to show that she's paranoid, but...
Get the fuck away from me, I got a family. Yeah, so she speeds off, and we get another little jump scare. Did you notice that? I mean, obviously, it's not. We've seen it before.
When she's going through the tunnel and he emerges from like the shadows on the side of the road.
No, before that.
No, what was the other jump scare? That's just a close-up shot. That's not a jump scare. Oh my God, there's his face again.
Well, that's what was the first one, a jump scare.
I mean, it was very close, and it was more of a pan to his face than, I don't know. The first one was more surprising than that was.
Well, then, fuck me. She approaches some train tracks. The lights and alarms are going off.
So she stops like a normal person would.
Right in the middle of it.
No. First she stops at the appropriate line like she should. And it's that point that she notices the hitchhiker on the other side, kind of, she thinks, beckoning towards him.
Which she probably was obviously scared and drove forward more.
But she's on the opposite side of the tracks from him. Why would she be afraid of him? It's not like he's going to run across the train tracks and come get her while the train's coming.
I don't know. But anyway, she goes on the train tracks for some reason. And
engine stalls immediately.
Of course. And the very weird noise when the train passes. Eventually, she does manage to get her car to.
Also, did the whole train coming scene sort of remind you of in Austin Powers when Norm Macdonald is yelling no for an inordinately long amount of time?
That's not Norm Macdonald.
Or
Michael
McDonald. Did that remind you of it? Because
similar, because it was like the same
cutting
shot
back to the train, but like it was like marginally closer. I'm like, damn, when's this train gonna get here?
So eventually, she is able to get the car running again, and she goes across, and we get a really weird from the train, which
and Doppler effect
doesn't sound like that.
Have you ever been next to a train that close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thomas the train.
And then after this, we get I think it's another voiceover where she declares it's been 3 days and 3 nights, and she's now.
Actually, hold on, we passed over that. We get the voiceover of her saying, "He was beckoning me. He wants me to die."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of voiceovers giving a lot of information in this episode. But yeah, she does think that he was beckoning her to the other side of the tracks.
Then we get a commercial break. Then we get a cool shot of her going through a tunnel, giggity. Hitchhiker is obviously on the other side. And then we get even more inner monologue saying, yeah, it's been 3 days and I still keep seeing him. I'm in Arkansas now.
When she says 3 days and 3 nights, did that make you think of...
Yeah.
It's been 3 days and 3 nights. My nipples are so tight.
It did. It's been 3 days. For 3 days, we were on the boat. She's like, I got to get away from this hitchhiker. Next shot, it's nighttime.
Which, she just said she was in Arkansas, and now it's nighttime and she's in New Mexico.
It's the 4th day now, and I'm in New Mexico.
She traveled a long distance from Arkansas to New Mexico?
She's on a fucking mission. She wants to get away from this hitchhiker fella.
But then she decides to take a bunch of, like, small back roads in the middle of the night in New Mexico. Like, bad idea.
I decided to lose them by taking side roads. It was at 11 o'clock that my engine stopped. She's out of gas, so she grabs her purse and decides to walk to the nearest gas station. And it looks like she left her headlights on, too. Did you notice that? So she might have a dead battery.
Yeah, say battery might be
she
dead.
She doesn't, obviously, but...
Yeah. Also, we'll get to this later, too. I'm pretty sure the car is also a ghost car, because if she didn't walk out of that, then I don't think the car did either.
Maybe.
But yeah, so she's walking down the road with her purse, and she gets to the gas station, and she notices that there's like a house next door.
No, she sees that the sign says lubrication on the thing, so she eagerly starts pulling on the handle.
But next door is the guy that owns the gas station, so she's knocking on his window at 11 o'clock at night to get him out there and helping, and he doesn't want to.
Right, the gas station guy's just like, there's no fucking mean to... God, I'm fucking having a stroke over here. I'll just fucking play the goddamn clip.
And then he's like, oh, no, I'll play the clip.
I've been seeing this man all the time, but he just stands there and he doesn't do anything.
That's nothing to wake a man up in the middle of his sleep about.
Oh, I think he's trying to rob me.
Well, if he does, then you come back here and I'll call the sheriff.
No, please.
I don't think I could leave someone out there like that.
Yeah, super dick
And also,
move.
you wouldn't want a weird, like, a stranger, like, all right, I'll just hang out on your porch while you sleep tonight. Like, get this fucking guy out of here.
Yeah. And also, just, like, one, it's just a kind and courteous thing. Like, yes, it's in the middle of the night. She shouldn't be asking.
Most likely, she would hopefully tip him more or something.
But, like, yeah, like...
But then he gets ghost money. The next day, that money
ghost
disappears.
Money?
Wow, that fucking bitch.
Also, did it also remind you of the SpongeBob episode where he's like, he's just standing there, menacingly?
Kinda. Guy closes the window on her, and then we see an arm reach out and touch her, but it's not the hitchhiker. It is a sailor. What the hell he's doing out there in the middle of the night is never explained.
Also, in New Mexico, there is no ocean near New Mexico. Why is he still in his sailor outfit?
Right. He's like, what's the matter, lady? She said, I ran out of gas.
Well, there's a gas station right here. And for some reason, he was able to do what she wasn't, and it managed to get the guy out of his bed and helping them. I wonder how that conversation went. Like, damn it, get the fuck out here and help this lady.
Pretty much. I mean, he already did. Hey, Pops, get out here. You got some customers. We should also add that before that, they have a little conversation about where they're going, and she's like, I'll bring you, but I got no gas, which is the whole reason why he helps her get said gas.
He helps her refuel up her car, and then they're driving down the highway, and That's when we get the line about him wanting to take his shoes off.
Yeah, my feet are kind of like a hot pair of bricks. Can I take them off? I just like this. Thanks. He got like so excited when she said you could. It was so weird. But it also was kind of funny too, because like the Simpsons, like, oh, now my shirt's really itching me too.
And just keeps taking pieces of clothing off. Suddenly this becomes a very different thing that we're watching.
He's like, the boys back at the shipyard are never going to believe me that some hot piece of ace like you picked me up, lady. And she asks
And then
him,
you let me take my shoes off.
Yeah. She's like, do you hitchhike much? He's like, not really. Cars will not really pick people up. I'm actually really surprised that you came and tried to pick me up. She asks the sailor, he's like trying to do mental gymnastics, do you think if a hitchhiker was heading west and
she's just
another hitchhiker was leaving west
and she's just trying to rationalize to herself, like, maybe I'm not crazy, like maybe this is just a real guy, and like she's just trying to rationalize, I think, more to herself to calm herself down of like, maybe it is possible that he's just a normal guy and there's nothing weird or supernatural about him. But it's not really working, because moments later she sees the same hitchhiker again.
But this time she tries to hit said hitchhiker. Obviously the sailor guy's like, what the fuck was that, lady? Oh, you didn't see him? No, I didn't see anything. And then she's like...
and then she sees him almost immediately again.
Yeah.
Like, which, that should be a big giveaway of, okay, you saw this
how'd you
man...
get ahead of him?
Yeah, how did you possibly get ahead within like a matter of minutes?
Right. And again, she tries to swerve into him, and this time the sailor's got some words for her. What the hell were you fucking trying to do? You know, just kill him, like any normal person would.
I just really need to kill this hitchhiker.
You must have seen him that time.
I didn't see anybody. What were you trying to do?
I was trying to hit him.
What?
That's right. I was trying to hit him. I thought maybe if I could kill him, I could make him stop. Where are you going?
No place in particular, just out of sight. I'm gonna go any place that puts distance between me and this automobile.
What would you do if you were hitchhiking, you get into a car, and the guy that's driving the car tries to kill a hitchhiker on the side of the road? Are you freaking out and getting out of there too, or?
Yeah, especially if it was, if it was a real, either way, you'd be like, this guy's either seeing things, or I'd be like, oh, I gotta fucking rock a piss, dude. You mind pulling over for a second?
You wouldn't, but then getting out of the car would be the more dangerous part, because now you're a hitchhiker that they're probably gonna hit with their car.
Fuck that! I'd fucking
safer space to be in the car.
I'd stay in the fucking woods until morning time. Fuck that.
Also, I'm like,
I was thinking about that actually, because I was like, I'd probably just say like I said, I gotta take a piss. But if they were like, oh here, use this jug. No, I gotta take a nasty shit.
But also, like he kind of throws up the offer of, why don't you let me drive and you can get some sleep? Like maybe you're not actually crazy, you're just really tired. Like I'm surprised where she wanted him obviously so badly to not leave her alone. Like she should have taken up that offer and been like, yeah, okay, you can drive. Like, what's the harm? And I'll take a nap in the back seat and maybe try to not focus on this hitchhiker I keep seeing.
It does get kind of a little darker because she's obviously very desperate, and she's like, "I'll do anything," and he even contemplates it for a minute.
She's definitely
no thanks.
She's definitely trying to play the sexy card. She's like, I actually picked you up because you're actually quite handsome, and I wanted you to ask me out. Like now she's like kind of playing on this extra shit now that he wants to like get out of the car and leave.
Next shot, she's pulling up to a payphone. She's like, all right, inner monologue is like, I'm gonna call my mom here. And this is where we get
that was kind of unnecessary. That could have all been done by her picking up the phone saying, "Is my mother there?" Like you don't need the line of
a lot of the
dialogue.
stuff that she does. It's pretty much like she's saying like poetry in her head. That's what my biggest flaw with this episode is, the inner monologue.
Where's my mother? Where's Mrs. Adams?
She's still in the hospital. A nervous breakdown.
Nervous breakdown? But there's nothing the matter with my mother. What do you mean a nervous breakdown?
Well, it's all taken place since the death of her daughter.
The death of her daughter? What do you mean the death of her daughter? Who's this?
It's all been very sudden. Nan was killed just 6 days ago in an automobile accident in Pennsylvania.
Do you think that voice was like obviously not a real person, like an angel or some sort of entity like that?
Maybe because it's not a great back and forth dialogue. Like she asks questions that the voice just kind of ignores the questions and answers its own stuff. Like it has like a prescripted
And it had like
dialogue.
a very like shining like Jack behind the freezer door thing when she's like, who is this? There's like the pause for a second. And it just says more of like a static, like factual like answer.
Yeah. I originally was thinking it was an actual person, but I think it would be an interesting,
And especially
kind of,
if she's never known who the hell this lady is, why would that person be picking up her phone?
Yeah, that is true.
Because she's like, who is this? I've never heard of you.
And I mean, you could kind of go further with it. Like, so what I was saying, she says there that the car got overturned, which means the car she was driving is probably also a ghost car. So like maybe a lot of this was like not even on Earth and maybe like in a limbo sort of state, and like her limbo started right when she died, but she in her mind, her limbo mind, she was still like kind of half on Earth, so like that would explain some of the stuff.
I was
going
thinking
on.
the whole thing was pretty much like in the afterlife. The only exception is the sailor makes this theory not right, because like everyone else is kind of like guides on like her, like the whole car is like a metaphor of her traveling to the realization that she's dead, because you got like the guy at the beginning, the mechanic, where he's like, all right, enjoy your journey. Like he kind of seems like he's some sort of entity
kind of in on
like
it
that.
too. Yeah.
But it's the sailor's the only one that throws a wrench in that theory. But I do like that.
No, because
interpretation.
maybe because the sailor was there to just give her gas, and then he kind of had to like make himself leave too. Like maybe he was trying to be a nuisance of like, oh, can I take my shoes off in your car, and like just try to get her back to seeing the hitchhiker again. Could have been that.
Yeah, so it's at this point that she walks away and she has her final inner monologue. She's just like, I've gone numb now. I'm a shell. I can feel everything around me. She's like, and I know somewhere out there, somewhere, it could be in China, it could be at the opposite end of the world, he was out there. But she doesn't have to look very far because he's right in the back seat of her fucking car.
And she's surprisingly calm this time as he says the iconic line.
I believe you're going my way.
Nan Adams, age 27. She was driving to California, to Los Angeles. She didn't make it. There was a detour through the Twilight Zone.
And that is our episode. Tyler, what did you learn?
If you want a hitchhiker to get out of your car, tell them you're trying to run people over.
All right, we'll jump right into ratings. IMDb currently has this at an 8.2 out of 10. I'm close, but I don't know how close here.
I'm also close. You want to say it at the same time?
All right.
You want to say it at the same time?
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 8. All right.
Yep.
I was so torn. Like, should this be an 8.5? But I looked at my other 8.5. So, like, I got the After Hours, I think, at 8.5. So, like, this After Hours is a lot better than this.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's has a lot of stuff going for it. It's obviously a classic for a good reason, and the twist is great. Very spooky vibes throughout the entire thing, and it definitely has that Twilight Zone vibe to it. There's a small few things I would change, like the voiceover parts, and it does get a bit drawn out, but
say the biggest thing for me also is it's very, just like Eye of the Beholder, it relies on that twist factor. The rewatchability on this goes down so much after the first one. Like, I could see you watching this the first time, be like, oh, this is a 9. But then,
and even upon rewatches, it still holds. Like, it's not only that there's a fun twist and a mystery as to like who is this man, but it's also just the spookiness still retains itself even upon rewatches, because now we know, okay, this man is death, and like it's kind of slowly lurking over her. Still,
yeah.
Who are they? Where are they? What are they? Let's find out together in The Twilight Gnome presents Inside the Twilight Zone.
All right, so this week we have Inger Stevens. She played Nan Adams. She was in 2 Twilight Zone episodes, and now we have finished hers. She did Lateness of the Hour as well, which this is a lot better than Lateness of the Hour.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like, what did you give Lateness of the Hour? I think you gave that like an 8 or something.
I think I gave it like a 7, or maybe a 7.5.
She was in 3 Playhouse 90s, lots of television and movies from 1950 to 1970. Unfortunately, she died at the age of 35 in 1970.
Damn.
But she was also in one episode of Mr. Peepers.
Sex fiend. Sex fiend. Sex fiend. Hey, I'll get a towel. Sex fiend. Ellie's not that kind of a girl. Sex fiend.
I feel like that's kind of disrespectful now, but either way. All right, we'll jump into the next person here. We got Leonard Strong. He played the Hitchhiker. He was in lots of movies from the 40s, which and then he switched over to television in the late 50s. It seemed like a lot of actors at the time did this. seemed like in the 30s and 40s they were in movies, and then once television kind of became more prominent in the 50s, everyone by the end of the 50s was kind of sinking their toes into that.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's probably a lot more TV shows getting made than there was movies.
Right. And then we have Adam Williams. He played the sailor. He was in North by Northwest. He was in 4 episodes of Bonanza, 2 Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And he was also in 2 Twilight Zones as well. He was in this and An Unusual Camera, where he plays that dumb brother Woodrow.
Yep.
A little bit of trivia on this. The original story, Nan was actually a man named Ronald, and Rod changed it because he thought it would, like, obviously, you'd fear for the woman character more than a man.
Makes sense.
Lucille Fletcher, the author of the original short story, got the idea in 1940 on a trip to New York to L.A. with her husband, and she saw the same man twice in the first day, so she's like, oh, that'd be creepy, so she turned it into this story.
Cool idea there.
Alfred Hitchcock actually wanted this for one of his Alfred Hitchcock Presents. He had tried to buy the rights before, but Twilight Zone snagged it from him. And Lucille Fletcher, the woman who wrote the short story, was also married to Bernard Herrmann, who is the composer of all the Twilight Zone music, especially that first.
That's pretty cool. I wonder if that's how they were able to get this script out from under Alfred Hitchcock then.
Quite possibly. Yeah, he's a composer. I don't know if that would help. I guess, well, it gets her in the Twilight Zone world. I gotcha. All right. In total, this episode cost $47,721. The director received the usual $12.50, and the cast received $5,962.
What'd you say to me, Mike?
What's in the name, Mr. Pettiger, really? It's a mere question of semantics. Just language. A mere stretch of words.
So every week, Tyler and I come up with a few alternative titles to the episodes we are watching, and I have 3 this week.
I also came up with 3. It was hard to think of something because this episode already has the perfect name to it.
For sure. I'll get my debacle out of the way. I got Deathly Derelict Debacle.
I have the Driving Debacle.
Right. I have My Way or the Highway.
I have I Believe You're Going My Way.
Oh. Yeah, and my final episode was... And my final name was Going My Way.
My final one was The Detour.
Pretty good. Switcheroos. I have 4. I got 5.
I have 3.
All right, go for it then.
You Drive.
Yes, I have that. I have Lateness of the Hour.
No, I have Long Distance Call.
The Whole Truth.
And I have The Fear.
I have The Arrival, The Encounter, and Valley of the Shadow.
Yeah. So only a few direct references this week, which I was surprised because this is one of what I think of as being one of the most iconic episodes of The Twilight Zone. So I was very surprised how little there was to pick from. But first off, we got 1999's The Sixth Sense with its twist that the character that we've been following has been dead this whole time. Definitely more of a spiritual successor there. And then we have a more direct reference or a direct spiritual whatever you want to call it, in 1962's Carnival of Souls. It's a movie where a woman gets into a car accident and then miraculously survives, and then goes about, moves to a different town, and then at the very end of the movie, it turns out that she's actually been dead this whole time, and her ghost sort of just disappears, and they find her body inside the car that originally went down into the river. So, yeah, that one's very, very similar. Then we also have 1987's Creepshow 2. And Creepshow, if you've never seen it, apparently is like a movie with a bunch of little mini segments in it. So in one of the segments features a story about a hitchhiker where a woman does a hit and run on a hitchhiker, and then the ghost of the hitchhiker returns to kill her. That was actually taken more from a Stephen King. Apparently Stephen King actually got hit by a car.
Well, didn't Stephen King write Creepshow?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he kind of was inspired by a real-life event that happened to him where he got hit by a car. And then, other than that, there is a 2006 movie called RV. I don't know if you remember it, with Robin Williams, where one of the characters, Casey, says that the Gornick's family are, quote, like that hitchhiker in the Twilight Zone. And then the only other one I could find for a reference was there was a 1985 skit from SNL starring Madonna, where it's supposed to be like a spoof of the Twilight Zone, and she's in a car and she keeps getting phone calls, and someone says like, oh, the phone calls are coming from inside the car, and she goes out and checks the hood, and there's like a zombie man inside of it, and then like a Rod Serling type guy like punches the zombie. It's really weird.
Did you watch it?
I watched. I mean, it was only like a couple minutes, but yeah.
All right. So every week Tyler picks the episodes, and he does so by showing me an AI-generated picture. I play a little game where I have to guess what it is. Now, I have a feeling it's not going to be Season 4 since we just did one, and it ain't going to be Season 1 since we just did it. And we're getting close. Next week is the one right before Halloween?
Yeah, so next week is the one before, so we got...
Is it a little bit spookier then?
It's not that spooky. I mean, it's spooky-ish.
Is it a death or other?
It's an other.
Oh, all right.
Halloween's going to be on a death.
I have no idea then.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Caesar and me.
Correct, yeah. I was going to...
Hey, wise guy.
It's creepy that it's a doll. It's not as creepy as the dummy, but, you know, it's still creepy.
Especially when he moves.
Yeah, yeah. There's minutes where he just like moves across the bottom, and you're like, that's just a man moving the dummy underneath. You can't
it's
see
like
his
he was
hand.
on wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fake Irish accent.
Well, the Irish accent is on the main guy.
Yeah,
the
no.
dummy has like a mafia
Yeah.
type accent.
I'm saying the fake
I don't think
Irish.
it was fake.
You
Was
don't
it
think
not?
so? I don't know. It sounded like it.
I don't know.
That and just his character in general. Oh, I'm just the dumb old Irish guy.
I was just trying to get money for me family.
Right? Weird.
Well, I didn't have a family. Well, no. Just trying to make it my living as a ventriloquist.
It's a pretty decent episode, though.
It's funny.
Definitely the weaker of the two ventriloquist dummies.
Definitely, yeah. I'd definitely say the dummies above
Superior.
this one. But this one was a fine episode.
Yep.
You are about to receive a message from the fifth dimension.
All right, so we got 2 comments this week, both on our episode from The Silence. If you haven't watched our video on The Silence yet, be sure to do so. But we got 1 comment from Rachel F. Rachel F says, one of my favorite episodes. So, yeah, Rachel F., it's a good episode, The Silence. We like that one there, too. And then our other comment is from Party Boat. Party Boat says, this episode really highlights the nature of living with pride and what men are capable of sacrificing for just the appearance of pride.
Thank you guys very much for the comment. If you want to do so, leave a comment down below. We'll read it out on the air. A little bit of housekeeping. If you guys could please continue to like and subscribe on the YouTube page, it would mean the world to us. If you could get the word out to any of your friends or anyone else that loves the Twilight Zone or even just likes listening to podcasts with 2 knuckleheads talking about funny stuff. If you could also go over to the Facebook page and give that a like. And also, if you could go over to the YouTube post section, and Ty's been dropping poll, and he'll give you a little insight on that, how that's going.
Yeah, so this week, the post is all about different means of transportation, how you would want to get across the Twilight Zone. Do you want to travel by plane? Do you want to travel by train? Travel by car with Nan Adams? So, yeah, be sure to drop in on YouTube and put your vote in.
Right? What are the results of last week's poll?
Yeah, so last week's was, what are you doing while you listen to the Twilight Gnome podcast? And we got 2/3 people saying they're working and 1/3 saying they're relaxing.
All right. My final question for you, Tyler. Have you ever hitchhiked, or would you ever pick up a hitchhiker? Or have you ever picked up a hitchhiker?
I have never hitchhiked, nor have I ever picked up a hitchhiker, although one time I was in a car with our mother who did pick up a hitchhiker. I kept telling her not to, but she did it anyway.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep, that really happened.
When?
This is maybe 2 years ago.
Wow.
There's a short distance. It was like from like the tire, Sullivan Tire or whatever it's called, to Domino's Pizza, but still, like, why? Why would you do that? I originally pointed out the hitchhiker. I'm like, oh, hitchhiker, pick him up, ha ha. And she's like, I will. And I'm like, please don't. And she did. What about you? Ever picked up a hitchhiker? Been a hitchhiker?
No, I would definitely not have the balls to hitchhike. I do not want to get sexually assaulted or murdered.
If you had to pick between being a hitchhiker or picking up a hitchhiker, though, what would you pick?
I feel like you have the upper hand if you're picking the hitchhiker.
Yeah, but picking I don't know. Usually only weird people are hitchhiking. I'd want to be the
Especially if I was in my truck, get in the back of the truck.
Well, that'd be illegal. You can't sit in the
I
bed
could lay
of
in
the
the
truck.
back. That'd be all right.
Yeah. So you'd be you'd choose picking up a hitchhiker? I'd pick being a hitchhiker. I feel like that'd be...
I've heard some horror stories from people I work with that have hitchhiked.
Oof.
I wouldn't do it. I would just stay away from hitchhiking.
Yeah, in general, good idea.
All right, well, until then, Ty, do you have anything else to say to our dear, dear Nomies out there?
Yes, until next time when you're all seeing you my way.
It's 4 o'clock, the howling man is gone. Frisbee's telling stories, Mr. Dingle's strong. There's time enough for the real Martian to stand up. Next stop, Willoughby, little girl is lost. There's something on the wing, Walter Jameson won't live long. Feel like I'm 5 characters in search of exit. Help, I'm slipping into the twilight known. Luckily on Thursday we leave for home. The chemists came and gave beauty to behold. Where's everybody? Get Axel Tyler on the phone. Now you're listening to the twilight known. Till next Friday night, you won't be alone. Till then, just keep watching your favorite TV show. Take it, Mr. Serling. The Twilight Zone. Listen hard and long. The Twilight Known. Listen hard and long. The Twilight Known.
Sex fiend.